Hey, so I thought I would rush in to the Reading Rush-a-thon. I've never heard of that until this year, but a lot of people have been doing videos about the Reading Rush for this week. So apparently it's meant to take over this week, and you're meant to read as much as you possibly can in a week. As I only really found out about it like kind of 2 days ago, I'm not really doing it, but I'm going to choose some books based on the prompts and try and read them like by next week, like the end of next week. So I'm kind of doing it, but I'm doing it in my own way because I'm not really signed up on the website and doing it properly where they give you badges and shit. I'm just going to run through a few of the books that I want to read based on the prompt, and I think it'll just help me decide my next reads because I bought some new books, so I'm going to do like a haul video maybe in like a week's time because I've got a couple more books coming. So this is helping me decide what books I want to read and reread next. First is a book with a cover matching your birthstone. I'm a Scorpio, born in November, so my birthstone is topaz. So for this, I have chosen to reread Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. This is one of my favourite novels. I absolutely adore it, and I feel like rereading it. At the moment, I've kind of been in a bit of a slump. I DNF'd Persuasion, and then I read Philosopher's Stone again and loved it. So I think I'm going to try rereading a book in between reading a new book, because I feel like if I reread one of my favourite books, I just know where I am with it, and I think that'll be a good way of getting myself back up to speed with reading a lot. Lately, like in the last month, it's kind of petered out a little bit. So I'm trying to get back up to speed. So yes, Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit is my first prompt covered. And then a book starting with the. I've already started reading this one since yesterday, and that is The Children Act by Ian McEwan. Not read any Ian McEwan, so this will be my first McEwan. I've heard a lot of good things about him, and I feel like this is a really good place to start with him because it's one of his novels that slipped under the radar a little bit, I think. I don't really know anything about it. I mean, obviously now I do because I've started reading it, but I think it's meant to be one of his best written ones, so really excited for this, and I'm really liking it so far. Okay, next. 3. A book that inspired a movie you've seen. So I've seen the movie Holes loads of times. We used to watch that film a lot growing up. I've always wanted to read the book. Like when I was back at school, around GCSE time when we were 14, 15, I always saw this on bookshelves quite a lot. So I think other classes learnt it, but mine learnt Lord of the Flies. So I was always kind of intrigued by the book. But I think I started reading it at one point when I was 15, and then I was like, I've seen the film. It's much quicker just to watch the film again. But the writing is meant to be really good in it. So yes, I want to read this. And I'm also joining this with the prompt of reading a book on a different continent, because this is set in Texas, in the United States of America. Okay, 4. The first book you touch. A lot of people have been doing things where they blindfold themselves or get people to hide the books and they find them. But I'm just going to do it based on the book that arrived first when I ordered it, which is this actually really nice edition of Bit of Fame, which is a Sylvia Plath biography. Out of the 2 biographies I've read on Plath, this is my favourite biography. I've read this several times, so this will be a reread. I've always gotten the book out from the uni library, but at the moment the library's closed, and I just love this biography so much. There are problems with it that another biography I read recently, The Silent Woman, explains. This biography reads like a novel of Sylvia Plath's life, and it's just really, really good at giving a portrait of her life at these points. So it's very much interested in the paraphernalia of what the kind of pots and pans she'd cook with, the accommodation she was living in at different points in her life. It's just fascinating reading about how she wrote some of the aerial poems, because some of them were written at such high speed and it's made out a lot of the time people think, oh, she wrote those 40 poems in only a few months, but a few of them were from a few years. So it's really interesting seeing Ted Hughes be like, if you can't sleep, Sylvia, maybe you should just go out and write a poem about the tree in the yard. And then she goes out and writes the moon and the yew tree, and then it helped inspire 3 other poems in the next few days. And you kind of see how it slowly builds up to the huge amount of poetry that she writes in the last year of her life. And next, 5 is a book you want to read outside. In the UK, the weather isn't really very, I want to say agreeable, but I really like the UK, so it's agreeable for me because I like rain and quite gloomy weather most of the time. I'm going to read something that I can read outside quickly and at brief intervals, which is the poetry pamphlet Beaches by Rebecca Perry. So it's only like maybe 14 poems, but they're all about beaches. Well, they've all got beaches at the title, so they're kind of a sequence. I've read this before as well, but I want to reread it because I adore Rebecca Perry's poetry. I only got this in March, so this is kind of a recent release, but poetry pamphlets aren't really hyped much. Yeah, I was really, really excited for this because it was the first time she'd published anything since 2014. And then the last one of the prompts I haven't done yet is the sixth one, which is a genre you want to read more of. I haven't read much autobiography, so I want to read, and this also covers like the Topaz one, the Birthstone one, but I really want to reread Oranges Not Named Fruit, so I want to include that as well. So this is an autobiography she wrote. It's quite a slim one, but it's like an experimental one. So she wrote this autobiography. She only included stuff that someone else could back up. So it'll be interesting to read an autobiography that might not be as personal as you expect it to be. And I have already read a Muriel Spark biography, which is why I'm excited for this, because I already have some background knowledge on her life. So it'll be interesting to see what she presents as her life, because Muriel Spark is one of my favourite writers. So yeah, that is the Reading Rush-a-thon thing. So yeah, I'm going to do it next week, even though I've kind of started this week, but it was just a good idea for helping me pick my next books. So are you doing the Reading Rush? If you are, how is it going? Because most people will be almost finishing it now. Do you take these things really seriously? And are you the kind of person where you like, I will sign up to this Reading Rush website and I will want all those badges and challenges? Or are you the kind of person who is quite lackadaisical with these things and you only do it based on what's going to suit you? So thanks for watching. Bye.